Hi everyone. So I am doing a video lesson for Friday, December 18th. I am going to be out, so I'd like you to watch this video with your whiteboard handy, ready to do some problems along with me as we move along, and then we will have a Pear Deck exit ticket for you to try and practice some problem solving and iReady like usual. So here we go. Don't forget your norms for all classes. And we are going to start off by reading our problem of the day, and make sure you have that whiteboard handy. So here is our problem. The average walking speed is 3 4/10 miles per hour. At that speed, how many hours would it take to walk from Boston to Seattle, which is a distance of 3,020 and 22 hundredths miles? So what is this problem about? This problem is about walking from Boston to Seattle. We're trying to find out how long it would take us to do that. The two things that are important are the 3 4/10, that's the speed, the miles per hour, and the distance, the total distance of 3,020 and 22. So in order to find out how long it will take us, we do have to divide. This is a division by decimal day. We are going to be focusing on that. On Monday, we're going to be doing both multiplying and dividing by decimals. But for today, we're just straight having division problems and practicing the strategies needed to solve them. Go ahead and pause and try this division problem, remembering what we went through in class yesterday. And then I will come back and go through it. So hopefully you tried this, and if you were stuck, listen closely and hopefully my explanation will help you. First thing I want to do is estimate. So I'm going to change my numbers from 3,020 and 22 hundredths to just 3,000. And I'm going to bump my divisor, my 3 4/10, down to 3. So I'm getting an answer of about 1,000 hours it will take us to walk from Boston to Seattle, which makes sense. It's going to take a while because it's a long distance and you're walking. So once we have our estimate, we have a good starting spot to make sure our answer is going to make sense. So before we actually go to the standard division algorithm with that long division symbol, I want you to understand that thinking about this in fraction form will help you understand why our trick works when we're moving decimals around. So I'm going to rewrite our problem in a fraction form, having our distance on the top and our speed on the bottom. The problem with division with decimals, we don't want our divisor to have a decimal part. We want it to be a whole number. So in order to do that, I'm going to use my base 10 trick of multiplying that 3 4/10 by 10 will make 3 4/10 change to 34. But since this is fractions, what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So when I am multiplying by 10, if you noticed, the decimal point moved over one space. And so that's going to be the same deal on the numerator or my dividend. And it's going to be 30,202 and 2/10 for my new dividend. So that's going to be our division problem that we're actually going to need to do. Now, you don't have to think in fraction form. You can just write our division problem as it was, 3,020 and 22 hundredths divided by 3.4, and we can use that decimal moving trick. What you do to the divisor, you have to do to the dividend. So in order to make 3 4/10 into a whole number, we need to move the decimal point over one space to make it 34. I'm rewriting it over here. And then What you do to the divisor, however many times you move that decimal point over, you have to do the same number of times for our dividend. And so that will make it the same number we got in our fraction, 30,202.2. Now, remember, when you're dividing a whole number by, when you're dividing a decimal by a whole number, that decimal in the dividend, the first thing you do before you start to divide this puppy is drag this decimal up and put the decimal in your quotient so you don't forget it. That's really important. Now, this is from your instruction book, and so I did copy the actual long division process for you to look at and compare. We do have the same number repeating, so that made it a little easy once we got going. So we do have our quotient of 888 3/10, which is hopefully what you got as well. You can see that that decimal point is lined up. We are dragging down that 0, and then we're dragging down that 2, and then we're subtracting. It does continue, and this 2 gets brought down here when we're subtracting, and it does have a remainder of 0 at the end. So hopefully that problem you were able to be successful with. If not, we have a couple more that we're going to practice with. So remember, moving the decimal point one place to the right is the same as multiplying the numerator and denominator of the fraction by that power of 10. So if you were going to be moving it 2 places to the right, you would be multiplying the numerator and denominator of the fraction by 100. So that trick, thinking about it in fraction form, just helps you understand why we're moving the decimal points in our problems. What you do to the divisor, you have to do to the dividend. That's important. Let's try this one. Annette had taken a 24-karat gold necklace with a mass of 2 3/10 grams. She sold it for $123.51. What was the price per gram of her necklace? So we want to know if we were to split up that price evenly amongst the grams, what would the price be? So we are dividing the amount by our grams. So this is our divisor, making our amount our dividend. Okay, so I'm going to extend this page a little bit and walk this through. You can pause, try it on your own, then resume. And I'm going to go right into solving it. So pause it and try it on your own first. So 123.51 is being divided by 2 3/10. So our setup is going to have our 2 3/10 on the outside. So right here. And then our 1, 2, 3, 5, 1 is on the inside. So in order to make our divisor a whole number, we're multiplying by 10. The decimal point moves over 1, so we have to do the same thing for our dividend. I'm going to rewrite this so that I have a whole number, 23, and we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 1,235, and 1/10. All right. So now I'm going to make sure my decimal point is in the quotient right above. Okay. Just going to turn this a little bit. And I can set to work on actually dividing this. So let me extend my page a little bit more so that you can see that. I don't know why that box is around that. That's okay. We're just going to go with it. All right. So when we are dividing and figuring out where to put our first number, remember we have to look at a number bigger than the divisor. So that's 123. And we're going to find that 5 works because 23 times 5 ends up being, I did it earlier, 23 times 5, 115. So we're going to subtract by 115. And when we do, we get an 8 when we trade and do all of that fun stuff. We're going to bring down the 5, and we can do a little multiplication on the side to find out that 23 times 3 is 69. That's as close as we can come. All right, so our 3's in our 1's place. We're going to subtract 69, do a little trading, fun, and we get a remainder of 16. And now we have to bring down our 1. And lo and behold, 23 times 7 is exactly that 161. So we do not have to go any farther with our subtraction. We have a 0. Because this is money, I'm going to annex a 0 right here so that it will be to the nearest penny. So it will be $53.70 per gram. Hopefully you got that one right. So we have an exit ticket, which is in Pear Deck. I want you to log into Pear Deck and actually do that work. That'll be your class participation for today, especially if you are at home. If you're in school, the substitute teacher will be more than happy to walk you through this. I am going to extend the video just for my at-home learners who don't have a teacher with them to go through this question. So if you are in school, you can stop watching. If you are at home today, you can try this exit ticket, and then I'm going to give you the answer key explanation right after I give the directions. So just like normal, after our exit ticket, we are going to move on to our practice and problem solving pages. We have 3 problems to practice because this is a lengthy process of dividing. After we change our decimal points, we have to divide that, and it takes a little bit of a while. So please remember, you need to also spend about 10 minutes if you are doing it every day on your iReady MagPath lessons. And that's it for class. So again, hybrid in person. You're done with our video. You can go ahead and work with the substitute teacher. And if you are at home, try the exit ticket and then resume playing. And I'll give you the walkthrough of this corn problem. So, the corn problem. We are dealing with a little bit of an interesting idea here with this. At maturity, a stalk of corn is 76 and 56 hundredths inches tall. So that's how tall the corn is after it's done all of its growing. Okay, so here's the plant. I can't really draw corn. So here's the corn stalk. Yep. And there's the ground. And here's the corn. It's all wrapped up. And maybe there's a corn stalk right here, and then there's corn right here. So there's my corn. At the maturity point, meaning it's done growing, that's how tall it is. Okay? This did not happen in a day. It took a long time to grow this, right? So it took 2,392.5 hours to reach that height. And they want to know the rate of growth per hour. So think about it. Is it going to grow a lot per hour or a very, very little amount? It's like watching a pot boil. It's going to take forever, it seems like. And you can't actually see the growth per hour because it's so tiny. But over time, you can, because it's going to grow very, very, very small amounts per day and very, very extremely small amounts per hour. So we're looking at a very small number. So we are actually needing to understand that our hours are 2,392.5 is what we're splitting up this length by. Okay, so we're dividing this. Obviously, it's not accurate. I'm just splitting this up to show you that this height is being split up by that 2,000. So it's a little bit odd to set up because the bigger number historically has been the dividend, and it's not the case this time. So now, same deal though, we have to make sure that 2,000 is a whole number, and it's not. So we have to do that decimal moving trick. We're only needing to multiply by 10 to get there, which means we need to only multiply the dividend by 10. And so our new problem is going to be 23,925 being divided by 765 and 6/10. So let me extend this so that we can now do our new problem. A little too much. There we go. Remember, first things first, as soon as you have that decimal point, drag it right up to the quotient. And now this looks daunting because it's so big, but it's still the same process. We need a number greater than 23,000. We don't have that, so we have to annex some zeros. Now we have the number 76,560 if you're ignoring the decimal point. So we have to put a 0 here, and there's no way that we can get a big number until we look at this dividend in the way of 76,560. So you're ignoring the decimal point right now. We just stuck it up in the quotient so that we don't mess up our place value places. And now we can think about what can we multiply 23,925 by to get to 76,000 or around there. And honestly, when I was working it out, it didn't take too long to see that 3 gave us, when we multiply, 71,775. So that 3 is our first step. We are subtracting that number. And when we do, we get a number of 47850. Now, lucky for us, that's only our divisor doubled. So we can have a 2. Sorry, my numbers did not quite line up because I didn't start in the right way. So when we are, let me just line this up the right way. When we are subtracting, sorry, we're getting a 5. Going a little too fast here. Then when we're subtracting, we're getting the 8. Then when we're subtracting, we're getting the 7 and then a 4. So we are annexing a 0 and bringing that down again. So now, sorry, we have that 47,850, which is what we get when we multiply our divisor by 2. So we are going to have a 0 remainder at this point. It was only 2 subtraction problems because this is the same as 47,850, and we do have our answer of 0 and 32 thousandths of an inch, which makes sense because it's not going to grow that much per hour. So I hope that this helped. We are going to be practicing again on Monday. I'm going to have a video for you as well to supplement and hopefully clarify this quite intense, tricky, tedious, lots of steps, stuff that we're tackling. So good job, and I will see you at the end of the break in the new year. Bye-bye.